The dog refused to leave the grave. A painful lesson in loyalty left everyone to tears. The morning mist hung low over the fields, casting a soft, ethereal glow on the small town of Willow Creek. In a cozy cottage nestled amidst rolling hills, Thomas, a man with a weathered face and kind eyes, stirred from his slumber. Beside him, his faithful German shepherd, Kaiser, lifted his head, his ears perked, his tail thumping a gentle rhythm against the worn wooden floor. Thomas and Kaiser were inseparable, their bond forged through years of shared experiences and unwavering companionship. Thomas, a retired sheep farmer, had found solace in Kaiser's presence after the passing of his wife a few years prior. Kaiser, in turn, had devoted his life to his master, his loyalty as steadfast as the rising sun. Their days followed a comfortable routine. Early morning walks through the dew-kissed fields, Kaiser trotting happily beside Thomas, his keen senses alert to the sights and sounds of the awakening countryside. Then, a hearty breakfast shared on the porch, Thomas sipping his coffee while Kaiser crunched on his kibble, their eyes meeting in a silent exchange of affection. The mornings were dedicated to chores around the farm. Thomas, despite his age, maintained a small flock of sheep, their woolly presence a comforting reminder of his past life as a shepherd. Kaiser, ever vigilant, patrolled the fences, his sharp bark deterring any stray wildlife that dared to venture too close. Afternoons were for leisurely strolls through the woods, the scent of pine needles and damp earth filling their lungs. Thomas, leaning on his trusty walking stick, would share stories of his youth, his voice a low rumble against the backdrop of birdsong and rustling leaves. Kaiser, his head tilted attentively, would listen with unwavering devotion, his brown eyes reflecting the warmth of his master's words. Evenings were spent by the fireplace, the crackling flames casting dancing shadows on the walls. Thomas, settled in his armchair with a well-worn book, would read aloud, his voice soothing Kaiser into a peaceful slumber. The gentle rhythm of Thomas's voice, the warmth of the fire, and the comforting presence of his beloved master created a haven of peace and contentment for Kaiser. Their bond was a testament to the enduring connection between humans and animals, a silent understanding that transcended words. Thomas, in Kaiser, had found a loyal companion, a confidant, a source of unwavering love. Kaiser, in Thomas, had found his purpose, his protector, the center of his world. Their lives, intertwined like the threads of a tapestry, were a testament to the power of companionship, a symphony of loyalty and devotion played out against the backdrop of their quiet, rural life. One crisp autumn morning, the tranquility of Willow Creek was shattered. Thomas, who had been feeling under the weather for the past few days, awoke with a sharp pain in his chest. Kaiser, sensing his master's distress, whined softly, nudging his hand with his nose. Thomas, his face pale and his breath shallow, struggled to sit up. He reached out to stroke Kaiser's head, a weak smile gracing his lips. "Good boy, Kaiser," he whispered, his voice barely above a murmur. "Looks like I'm not feeling so well today." Kaiser, his concern growing, whimpered again, his tail drooping. He nudged Thomas's hand insistently, urging him to get up. But Thomas remained motionless, his eyes closed, his breathing becoming more labored. Kaiser, sensing the gravity of the situation, let out a sharp bark, hoping to attract attention. But the cottage was silent, the only sound the ticking of the grandfather clock in the hallway. Desperate, Kaiser ran to the back door, scratching and barking frantically. He hoped that Mrs. Henderson, their kind neighbor, would hear him and come to investigate. Mrs. Henderson, alerted by the frantic barking, rushed over to the cottage. She found Thomas slumped in his bed, Kaiser whimpering beside him. She immediately called for an ambulance, her heart pounding with worry. The paramedics arrived quickly, but it was too late. Thomas, his heart weakened by age and illness, had passed away peacefully in his sleep. Kaiser, his loyal companion, had been by his side until the very end. The news of Thomas's passing spread quickly through Willow Creek, casting a pall of sadness over the small town. The townspeople mourned the loss of their kind and gentle neighbor, their hearts aching for the loyal dog he had left behind. Kaiser, his world shattered, refused to leave Thomas's side. He lay beside the bed, his head resting on Thomas's arm, his eyes filled with a deep, unfathomable sadness. He whimpered softly, his mournful cries echoing the emptiness that had consumed his heart. The days that followed were a blur of activity. The funeral arrangements were made, the house was cleaned, and preparations were underway for Thomas's final farewell. But Kaiser remained oblivious to the commotion, his focus solely on his departed master. He refused to eat, his food bowl untouched. He refused to play, his toys abandoned in the corner. He refused to leave the house, his watchful eyes fixed on the closed door of Thomas's bedroom. The townspeople, concerned for Kaiser's well-being, tried to coax him out of the house, offering him treats and words of comfort. But Kaiser remained steadfast, his loyalty to his master unwavering even in death. He was a picture of grief, his once vibrant spirit dimmed by the weight of his loss. His mournful cries echoed through the empty house, a poignant reminder of the deep bond that had been broken, the loyal heart that was now shattered. The day of Thomas's funeral dawned gray and somber, mirroring the mood in Willow Creek. The townspeople gathered at the small church, their faces etched with grief and their hearts heavy with the loss of their beloved neighbor. Kaiser, his fur brushed and his collar polished, was led into the church by Mrs. Henderson. He walked with a heavy gait, his head bowed, his tail drooping. He seemed to understand the gravity of the occasion, his usually playful demeanor replaced by a quiet solemnity. Inside the church, Kaiser sat quietly beside Mrs. Henderson, his eyes fixed on the coffin that held his master's remains. He listened to the eulogies, the words of love and remembrance washing over him like a gentle rain. He heard the stories of Thomas's kindness, his generosity, his love for his community and his faithful companion. As the service concluded, the funeral procession made its way to the cemetery, a small, peaceful plot nestled on a hill overlooking the town. Kaiser, led by Mrs. Henderson, followed the hearse, his steps slow and deliberate. At the graveside, as the coffin was lowered into the ground, Kaiser let out a mournful howl, a sound that pierced the silence and echoed through the valley. It was a cry of grief, of loss, of a bond broken too soon. The townspeople, their hearts aching for the grieving dog, watched as Kaiser refused to leave the graveside. He sat beside the freshly dug mound, his eyes fixed on the spot where his master had been laid to rest. Mrs. Henderson, her own eyes filled with tears, tried to coax Kaiser away, but he resisted, his body stiff, his gaze unwavering. He had found his place, his vigil, his final act of loyalty to the man who had been his world. The townspeople, understanding Kaiser's devotion, left him to his grief. They knew that no words of comfort could ease his pain, no gentle touch could replace the bond he had lost. They left him to mourn, to grieve, to say his final goodbye in his own way. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the cemetery, Kaiser remained by the grave, his silhouette a stark reminder of the enduring power of love and loyalty. He was a sentinel of grief, a guardian of memory, his presence a testament to the unbreakable bond between a man and his dog. Days turned into weeks, and Kaiser remained steadfast by Thomas's grave. He became a fixture in the Willow Creek Cemetery, a silent guardian of memory, his presence a poignant reminder of the enduring power of love and loyalty. The townspeople, initially concerned for his well-being, marveled at his unwavering devotion. They watched as he braved the elements, his thick fur protecting him from the biting winds and chilling rains. They saw him endure the scorching sun, his tongue lolling as he sought respite in the meager shade of the nearby oak tree. They tried to tempt him home with treats and toys, but Kaiser remained unmoved. He would accept their offerings with a grateful nod, but his gaze never strayed from the grave, his vigil unbroken. Mrs. Henderson, his most frequent visitor, brought him fresh food and water every day. She would sit beside him, talking softly, sharing stories of Thomas, hoping to ease his grief. Kaiser would listen attentively, his head tilted, his eyes reflecting a deep sadness. One day, a group of children from the local school visited the cemetery on a field trip. They were captivated by Kaiser's story, his loyalty touching their young hearts. They approached him cautiously, offering him drawings they had made of him and Thomas, their colorful creations a testament to the impact Kaiser's devotion had had on the community. Kaiser, touched by their gesture, wagged his tail gently, accepting their gifts with a soft nudge of his nose. He seemed to appreciate their presence, their youthful energy offering a glimmer of light in his otherwise somber world. As the weeks turned into months, Kaiser's vigil became a legend in Willow Creek. Visitors to the cemetery would often pause by Thomas's grave, paying their respects to both the departed man and his loyal companion. They would leave flowers, notes, and even dog toys, creating a small shrine to the enduring bond between them. Kaiser, though still grieving, seemed to find solace in the presence of these visitors. He would greet them with a gentle wag of his tail, his eyes conveying a quiet gratitude for their acknowledgement of his loss. He had become a symbol of unwavering loyalty, a testament to the deep connection that can exist between humans and animals. His presence at the grave was a comforting reminder that love and devotion transcend even death, that the bonds we forge in life can endure beyond the physical realm. Word of Kaiser's unwavering vigil spread beyond Willow Creek, drawing visitors from neighboring towns and even further afield. People touched by his story came to pay their respects, leaving tokens of affection and admiration at Thomas's grave. The once quiet cemetery became a place of pilgrimage, a testament to the enduring power of loyalty and love. The townspeople, witnessing the growing attention, decided to take action. They organized a collection to build a small shelter for Kaiser by the grave, a place where he could find refuge from the elements and rest his weary body. They constructed a sturdy wooden doghouse, painted it a cheerful blue, and placed it under the shade of the oak tree. They lined it with soft blankets and pillows, creating a cozy haven for their loyal guardian. Kaiser, initially hesitant, eventually accepted the shelter, his gratitude evident in the gentle wag of his tail and the soft lick he bestowed on Mrs. Henderson's hand. He would spend his nights in the doghouse, his sleep guarded by the memories of his beloved master. The townspeople continued to care for Kaiser, bringing him fresh food and water daily. They would sit with him, sharing stories of Thomas, their voices a comforting presence in the quiet solitude of the cemetery. Children from the local school became regular visitors, their laughter and playful energy bringing a touch of joy to Kaiser's somber world. They would read to him, play fetch with him, and shower him with affection, their innocent hearts recognizing the depth of his grief. One day, a young girl named Lily approached Kaiser with a timid smile. She held out a small, hand-knitted blanket, her eyes filled with concern. "This is for you, Kaiser," she said softly, "to keep you warm at night." Kaiser, touched by her gesture, accepted the blanket with a gentle nudge of his nose. He curled up in his doghouse, the soft wool a comforting reminder of the kindness and compassion that surrounded him. The community's embrace had a profound impact on Kaiser. He began to open his heart to the warmth and affection offered by the townspeople. He would greet them with a wagging tail, his eyes reflecting a glimmer of gratitude and trust. He was no longer just a grieving dog, but a cherished member of the community, a symbol of unwavering loyalty that had touched the hearts of everyone who knew his story. The townspeople, in turn, found solace in his presence, his steadfast devotion a reminder of the enduring power of love and the unbreakable bond between humans and animals. As the seasons turned, painting the cemetery in hues of gold and crimson, then blanketing it in a pristine white, Kaiser's vigil continued. He remained a steadfast presence by Thomas's grave, his loyalty unwavering, his love undimmed. But with the passage of time, a subtle shift occurred within him. The sharp pangs of grief gradually softened, replaced by a quiet acceptance of his loss. He no longer howled mournfully at the moon, his cries replaced by soft whimpers, whispers of memories carried on the wind. He would often lie by the grave, his eyes closed, his mind adrift in a sea of recollections. He would relive his days with Thomas, The early morning walks through the dew-kissed fields, the shared meals on the porch, the leisurely strolls through the woods. He would remember the sound of Thomas's voice, a comforting rumble that filled his world with warmth and security. He would recall the touch of Thomas's hand, a gentle caress that spoke volumes of love and affection. In his dreams, he would run alongside Thomas, their laughter echoing through the fields. He would chase butterflies with him, their shared joy a symphony of movement and light. He would curl up beside him by the fireplace, the warmth of the flames mirroring the warmth in his heart. These memories, once a source of pain, now became a source of comfort. They were a testament to the bond they had shared, a reminder that love and loyalty transcend even death. Kaiser's dreams were not just recollections of the past. They were also glimpses of a future reunion. He would dream of running towards Thomas in a field of wildflowers, their reunion a joyous celebration of their enduring connection. He would dream of lying beside Thomas in the warm sunshine, their bodies intertwined, their hearts beating in unison. These dreams filled him with a sense of hope, a belief that their separation was temporary, that one day they would be reunited, their bond renewed in a realm beyond the confines of earthly existence. He carried these dreams with him, a beacon of light in the darkness of his grief. They sustained him, nourished him, and gave him the strength to continue his vigil, his loyalty unwavering, his love eternal. The seasons continued their ceaseless cycle, painting the landscape with the vibrant hues of spring, the lush greens of summer, the fiery reds and golds of autumn, and the pristine white of winter. Through it all, Kaiser remained a constant presence at the cemetery, his vigil a testament to his unwavering loyalty. But as time wore on, a gradual transformation took place within him. The sharp edges of grief softened, the raw pain subsided, replaced by a quiet acceptance of his loss. He no longer spent his days in mournful silence, but began to interact with the townspeople who visited him, his tail wagging gently in greeting, his eyes reflecting a newfound peace. The children, his constant companions, brought him toys and treats, their laughter filling the once somber space with a sense of joy. They would read to him, tell him stories, and shower him with affection, their innocent hearts understanding the language of love that transcended species. Mrs. Henderson, his faithful guardian, continued to visit him daily, bringing him fresh food and water, and sharing stories of Thomas. She would brush his fur, her gentle touch a comforting reminder of the human connection he still craved. One day, as she sat beside him, reading aloud from Thomas's favorite book of poetry, Kaiser rested his head on her lap, his eyes closing contentedly. A soft sigh escaped his lips, a sound of contentment, of acceptance, of a heart finally at peace. Mrs. Henderson, touched by this gesture, continued reading, her voice a soothing balm for Kaiser's soul. She felt a deep connection with the loyal dog, their shared grief forging a bond of understanding and compassion. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the cemetery, Kaiser rose to his feet, stretching his stiff limbs. He looked at Mrs. Henderson, his eyes filled with gratitude, and then turned towards the grave, his gaze lingering on the inscription that bore Thomas's name. He stood there for a moment, his head bowed in silent farewell. Then, with a gentle wag of his tail, he turned and followed Mrs. Henderson out of the cemetery. His steps lighter, his spirit lifted. He had found a measure of peace, a sense of closure. He had honored his master's memory with his unwavering loyalty. And now, he was ready to embrace the love and support of the community that had embraced him in his time of grief. He walked beside Mrs. Henderson, his tail wagging gently, his heart filled with gratitude for the kindness and compassion that had helped him through his darkest days. He knew that Thomas would be proud of him, that his loyalty had touched the hearts of many, and that his story would live on, a testament to the enduring power of love and devotion. Winter descended upon Willow Creek, draping the landscape in a pristine white blanket. The cemetery, once a place of vibrant colors, was now a serene expanse of snow-covered graves, their silence broken only by the soft whisper of the wind. Kaiser, his fur thick and warm, no longer spent his nights in the doghouse. He preferred to curl up beside Thomas's grave, the cold snow a comforting reminder of his master's presence. He would lie there, his eyes closed, his dreams filled with images of Thomas, their shared laughter echoing through the snowy fields. One morning, as the first rays of sunlight touched the horizon, Mrs. Henderson made her way to the cemetery, a thermos of hot tea and a warm blanket in hand. She approached Thomas's grave, her heart filled with anticipation of greeting her loyal friend. But as she drew closer, a sense of unease washed over her. Kaiser was not in his usual spot beside the grave. She scanned the surrounding area, her eyes searching for any sign of movement. Then, she saw him. He was lying peacefully beside the grave, his body curled into a tight ball, his fur covered in a thin layer of frost. He was still, his breathing shallow, his eyes closed in eternal slumber. Mrs. Henderson knelt beside him, her heart heavy with sorrow. She gently stroked his fur, her tears falling onto his snow-covered coat. She knew that Kaiser had finally found his peace, that his loyal heart had joined his beloved master in a realm beyond the confines of earthly existence. The news of Kaiser's passing spread quickly through Willow Creek, casting a somber pall over the town. The townspeople gathered at the cemetery, their faces etched with grief, their hearts filled with a mixture of sadness and gratitude. They held a small memorial service for Kaiser, their words of remembrance echoing through the silent cemetery. They spoke of his unwavering loyalty, his gentle spirit, and the profound impact he had had on their lives. They buried him beside Thomas, their graves marked by a simple headstone that bore their names and the inscription, "Together forever." The story of Kaiser, the dog who refused to leave his master's grave, became a cherished legend in Willow Creek. It was a tale whispered by the wind, a testament to the enduring power of love and loyalty, a reminder that the bonds we forge in life can transcend even death. Kaiser's vigil had touched the hearts of many, his unwavering devotion a beacon of hope in a world often filled with darkness and despair. He had taught them the true meaning of loyalty, the depth of love that can exist between humans and animals, and the enduring power of companionship. His story lived on, a legacy of love and devotion, a reminder that even in the face of loss, the bonds we forge in life can endure, their echoes resonating through the corridors of time, their memory a beacon of light that guides us through the darkness.